Welcome to Worldwide Slot Car Chat on Zoom, number 111. And we're going to talk about slot cars. Got a great gang of people going here, and we're open to all kinds of slot car talk, from beginners to experts, from HO to 124th. So come and join us. And let's start off with show and tell, as usual. So if you have something you want to show and or tell, please raise your virtual hand so that I don't miss you. And John, did you see any new faces or new names? I did not see any. I think we're probably good. And Mr. Samson put up his virtual hand, and he's first in line on my screen. So go ahead, Dennis.
Okay, I guess last week when we were on the call, while I was sitting here listening, I spent most of the time wet sanding one of those Area 71 3D printed bodies. Yeah. Because it was a good 2 hours that I was going to sit here, so I thought, well, that's 2 hours well spent. So what I've got is, there we go, if you want to highlight that.
Wow, that was an Area 71 body?
That's an Area 71 body.
Wow.
It came out pretty good.
Yeah.
This camera, unfortunately, doesn't focus really well on close-up, or fortunately in this case. This is
a Cadillac, Dennis?
Yeah,
CTSV, the Cadillac, right? The Cadillac Atsv. And I didn't have an Aston Martin badge, Wade, so I put a Union Jack on the wing.
Close enough.
Yeah, so actually came out pretty well. It has the regular, the Area 71 body underneath it. And I've got all slotted parts in here, apart from the guide. The guide's a scale auto, nice, the deep one. The rest is all slotted parts with a 29K motor, sidewinder geared 1134, so it should be pretty good. The same as most of the other ones that I've made. Anyway, so just finished it today, so I thought I'd let you know.
So have you built it have you built it for a proxy or an event?
No, I've stopped building for proxies. I'm not into that anymore. But I'm a big GT3 fan, and this is the only Cadillac that I've seen anywhere, and so I thought I might as well do it.
Now, what was your process? Because I'm assuming that you used some kind of filler primer.
What I started with was some drywall sanding paper, which is pretty rough.
Yeah.
And I wet sanded the body itself, just that, with that. Then I put on a Rust-Oleum filler primer, and then I went on to it with 400 and 600 after that. But, you know, you got to let that filler primer dry for a couple of days before you want to go and sand at it. Otherwise, you just pull it out of any of the areas. But yeah, it's come out pretty good.
Yeah, looks great. And did you use a satin paint of some sort, or is that a matte?
The rear end is a I haven't clear coated it, so
okay.
The blue is Tamiya metallic blue. The front is Tamiya, I think they call it bright aluminum or something like that. And so it has a slight matte finish to it, which I kind of like. I guess if I put a clear over everything, it would probably hide some of the surface imperfections a little better. But it's not bad by comparison with some of the ones that I've done. I've gotten a lot better at it.
I think it looks really good.
Thank you.
What are you going to put as a clear coat?
Yeah.
What are you going to use for your clear coat?
I don't know if I am going to clear coat it.
Okay.
But if I did, it would probably be future, because I generally don't spray a clear coat on.
So I keep seeing body shells in these colors, Dennis, but I don't think we've ever quite asked you, how did you come to be those three color combinations, and how long did you actually run them?
It comes from way back in the days when I was racing radio control cars.
Okay.
And at one point I was sponsored by a machine shop in South Africa whose colors were blue and white and silver. So I started, as you can see on the right-hand side there, with blue and white and silver. And then later on, I wanted to add something to it. So I started adding in the pink. And so that's been a long way with me over many, many years. And I just keep doing it now.
Well, if I were to do the same, that's noble, by the way, but if I was to do the same, my colors when I was racing RC were fluorescent orange, fluorescent yellow, and white.
Yeah, it works, actually. I've got a couple of friends who race retro cars in those kind of colors, and they're bright enough to see.
They were very much colors of the time. Yeah, they were very 90s colors, but they were highly visible, and that's what I wanted to achieve, and something distinct. And anybody I was coming round to lap knew who it was that was coming to lap them.
And that's part of the reason. Part of the reason
Exactly.
I always use the same colors is everybody knows whose car it is, and so
that's
do I.
Right. And that has its benefits. It can have a drawback, but it has its strong benefits too.
It has a benefit in that I can recognize my car even if I'd have forgotten where it is on the track. You know.
I'd just like to point out.
I always do is you can't really see it in here, but I always paint the driver helmet orange. That was another one of the things from radio control where the helmets are outside of the car, and you know they're open cars mostly, and so so I used to paint them orange, and so that I could see the car.
I think Bill had something to say.
Oh, I was just going to say, you know, wet sand and wit's end are very, very close to each other. That's it.
I would have to agree with that.
Looks great, Dennis.
Yeah, thanks. All right, that's me for today.
All right. Any other comments or questions for Dennis? Hearing none, let's move on to Mr. Jiprich. What's up, Brian?
How we doing, guys? Got a little bit of a show and tell for you. Let's see if this is going to work. Figure we'll start with this one because this might be the best way to do this. You're probably sick of looking at these.
Oh
no!
But are you kidding? That looks great.
I love it.
Beautiful.
Yeah, I love it.
I love the color. The green is great on top too.
It's sorry about the lousy. Let's see if we can try something.
That's good enough. We can see it. Oh, that's too dark.
Yeah, that outdid it. Yeah, it's a pearl lime on top with a white, blue pinstripe.
I think it looks great.
Yeah, wow, I could only hope to do that well. That's beautiful. And it's so smooth too. I mean, that looks great.
It's a lot of wet sanding. Actually, I've had good luck with the clear with the Krylon 2X stuff. And this one's relatively, I'm learning the technique with this body now because the sides are fairly flat. I don't know if you can see the level of gloss on that or not. I'm on my wife's tablet, so but I found that like if I tilt it like this and spray this side first, and I just need to hold it for about a minute, I can shoot it pretty wet and it won't drip. And then I turn to another side, I can shoot it pretty wet. I mean, I missed on several layers, but I can keep misting until you get that gloss. But I'm starting to get the technique down. So there she is. I do have another one.
Ryan, it looks fast just sitting on the box.
Ah, well, thanks. Yeah. And I had these CB design wheels, so I figured they seemed appropriate for this one. So, all right. Now, the other stuff I have is, for some reason, I got a wild hair and went on the Facebook marketplace. And I saw an ad, local ad. Gentleman has some cars for sale, has some tax issues he's trying to take care of. So I did a little shopping, and here's
I didn't even know Trump liked slot cars.
Yeah. So you can see the first one here, McLaren F1 GTR, 97 Le Mans. It's a nice purplish pink. That was one.
Blue and yellow, blue and yellow.
Someone covered Greg's eyes.
Yeah, Greg alert, Greg alert.
I already have that one.
From
I was gonna say, how'd you miss out on that one?
Oh yeah,
beautiful.
That's a nice one.
Nice
he had a lot of tax to pay.
his whole house taxes.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, it's a Jaguar. Okay, good.
That's nice.
Those are all nice. All great cars. Oh, not done yet. Okay.
Oh,
Have
no.
these cars been used, Brian?
Yeah, I have a feeling he got more than that.
No. Some of them I know have not been used because there's still plastic wrapped on them. The few I have taken off, I've taken this one off the base and the two McLarens. If he opened them, he took them off the base, but there was no sign of wear on the braids, anything. And all the goodies are still taped underneath the boxes. And I've had this one out and run it around a little bit.
Yeah, that one will probably need a little bit of weight. Oh, if you're running magnets, you're okay. But
Sideways.
Oh, nice.
Lancia Stratos. And this one's still in the plastic.
Not Stratos. Beta
Now,
Monte
these-
Carlo.
No, it's a, yeah.
Yeah, I'm
Monte
sorry.
Carlo.
Beta Monte Carlo Group 5. Now, this one's still in the plastic. This is my first experience with Sideways. So we will see. These are angle winders. I think this one
Yeah,
is.
they have the same flat 6 motors that a lot of the slotted angle winders have. All the Group 5s have the same motor.
Okay.
That's
And then
those are really good little cars. The 3.
I've had this one out. It runs pretty good. It needs a little tweaking, but
This is an easy car to drive.
Yeah. Yeah, they work well.
and then last but not least, and I kind of almost hesitated on this one because I've got a couple spikers and they're awfully fragile. And you know, guys, we're mag racers here, so our offs tend to be brutal. So now this one's brand new in the plastic, and this is the R Series Z4.
Yeah, so the R Series have the really good chassis, so that'll be an excellent car.
Yeah, and just proof to show you that we are hard racers. I didn't show you this side of the car because I've already broke it. There's actually a crack right here.
I see it. Oh, there you
Yep.
see it.
Hey, it didn't shatter, so
Yeah, I can repair that. Next time I shoot white, I can fix that. But and the red one I showed you last week is now missing a section behind the rear wheel here, so that I couldn't find. So we'll see.
Written
But,
hard
yeah.
and put away wet.
Yeah, so I picked up the 5 slots, the 2 sideways, and the scale auto.
You're gonna tell us how much they cost, and you're gonna make us all cry.
It wasn't quite my $5 deal from last time, but I paid $300 for the 8 cars.
Wow.
yeah,
That's good.
that's a good deal.
Now
He must
he
have
had
had some serious tech problems.
throw this out there because I don't know if you guys are interested. I'm sure you guys are familiar with the SRC 914s.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He had the Nürburgring safety car. You guys know the one I'm talking about? I guess it's got the foam cannon on the trunk where they.
Yeah. Yeah.
He had that one, and the guy's real nice. He's got more. He had like 90 cars for sale. Is that something any of you guys would be interested in? To me, it's kind of a gimmick thing. So I wouldn't want to run it and destroy it. But if anyone's interested in, let me know. I'm sure it would be $40 plus shipping. So I just thought it was a unique, kind of hard to find car because I haven't seen it really before. So I just thought if anyone was interested, let me know, and I can pick it up for you and we can work that out. So, but that's all I got.
All right, thanks for sharing your awesome haul. And moving right along, Henry, you've got your hand up. What's going on in your neck of the woods?
I want to address
Been
to
a busy
Brian.
boy.
And
Me.
because I love his wonderful work. But at a racer's perspective, we saw a little bit of tuning. I don't know if you can see everything. As you can see, it's made for a long shaft.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
We don't drive here in Europe normally a long shaft. We only drive short shafts.
Okay.
So we made something with a short shaft.
Terrific. Yeah, good. So were you able to break the model apart and just move it back? In Tinker's head? Sweet. Yeah. Terrific.
You did on top holes for the grub screws.
Yes.
But not
We
on,
did also now on underneath it.
No,
So
I did not.
Yeah, so
But what those holes are for is those holes will hold the slotted spherical bearings. You don't have to use them, but you can. So the same bearings you use in a slotted pod for the rear axle will drop right into those holes.
Like slotted front end.
I've never felt the need to have the underneath screws for me. I usually use the top ones to set the ride height.
Yeah.
And was always sufficient. But those holes are literally for the slotted spherical bearings. They should drop right in there.
It's not. They're not comments, but we looked at this as a perspective way for racing, and we wanted to build some for the kids on the club. So we thought about a few things we're building when we are building. As you can see in the original one, it's over here, it's flat.
Right.
This one is also flat. And we draw a hole in it, so it combines with the other piece.
Okay.
Yeah. Also, we did that on the front side. So the how do you call this? The post,
right?
Fits in this size, this part. It's not. Right. It's not resting on it.
You've generated a cup on top of the post, have you?
Yep.
And then normally, if you screw them tightly, the car is fixed with the two screws. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
If you make a bar from left to right, and you do some posts in the car also, the car can dance and float.
So why did you add the cups to the screw posts if you want it to float? Don't the holes for the posts stop it from floating?
No, because when you do if you're not fixing them tight, then it will wiggle, but it has no float in it because it's not going to be like this.
Okay.
And if you fix them, they are just fixed, so there's no floating in it, and that's why
I was always under the impression that you didn't want movement forward and aft, front to back.
Yeah. Some people like only front to back motion.
Yeah.
Well, see, on mine, again, I have it designed the same way. I have no forward to back motion, but it does rock side to side very, very easily.
Correct.
And I can set the amount of that just by tightening or loosening the screws. But yeah, and that was the reason that rear hole was made round like that, is there is no front to back. It's all side to side. Now, didn't we have that discussion last week when we were discussing pods that you really didn't want the front to back? I mean, it was specifically designed that way. So,
but normally, if you look at the slot cars, you want to have supposed posts on the chassis on the body. So we take care of that one. So it can now rest on the bar.
It would seem to me that if you had front to back motion, that's going to wear on your transmission, pulling your motor back and forth on your pinion.
No, it's not. No, the motion that we're talking about is the body relative to the chassis, not the motor relative to the axle.
Okay.
But there are two schools of thought and practice that I've learned over time here in this chat, that Some people prefer only sliding motion, and some people prefer only rocking motion, and some people like both. So, you know, it's knowing all the options, you know, it's worth experimenting with. And so Brian designed his chassis for rocking motion only. It looks like Henri is going for rocking motion, but with, you know, limiting it with the bar that the chassis is, that the body is resting on that bar that you added to the chassis. Awesome. But one could easily modify things to be only sliding if they wanted to.
And that's the fantastic thing of sharing drawings.
Yep.
I
So
love that. I'd never thought about giving it the vertical motion. I guess you could make that rear hole larger. Got a little bit there you could play with around that spur, around the crown gear, but and the front slotted. I did that so I could use the same chassis with different bodies, and it gave me
you can adjust it. I understand that.
Where I put the body post depending on the design. Have you completed any of the cars?
No, not yet. Not yet.
I was just curious if you got a chance to run one yet.
I don't. I saw your what for bearings you used, and this one are the bearings from 2 millimeters, and you can buy them by AliExpress for 70 cents.
Nice. And it is an actual ball bearing.
Sorry.
And it is an actual ball bearing.
Yeah.
Yeah, it looks a lot like the Revo slot.
Yeah, it's the same. I use them also for my co-guards, and then a little bit bigger. But
is that got a flange on it, Henri?
Yeah, correct.
I like your choice.
You're popping those in from the outside, are you?
So yes, I make the hole a little bit bigger, and then you can pop them in and glue them.
Can you give us a link to that in the chat, Henri?
Yeah, if you can find the link to the bearings that you bought and share.
Otherwise, I'll find the ones that are just too big. I usually do that.
Or too small.
Yeah, I think I had a post of one of my friends. She said I found them on the internet. I had only 2 because I used I buy them normally for 3 mil because I used the 3 mils for my go guards. So I have to look it up.
Okay.
Henri, what did you think of the overall design of the chassis otherwise? Does it seem strong enough to you, or?
Oh, we didn't drive it, but I was inspired by it. That's why I was really enthusiastic about it, and I found that you did a wonderful thing. So we said, okay, at the club, what can we do with it? And then we looked at our box, and we only find short shafts, and we had 30 motors. I was like, okay, let's do some adjustment.
Well, I'm going to redo these for mine because I found a different magnet. That hole there is for an 8 millimeter round, and I've found some 5 millimeters that would allow me to actually move the motor back about 1.5 millimeters.
It costs because I can't put it anymore in a magnet.
Yeah, no, it's okay. But I was
going access for oiling the motor bearing.
Sure.
The way I did the guide flag, and the reason I made the post a separate piece is early on in my 3D printing, I had a very hard time getting that bottom to print nice and beautiful and smooth. That's why I made that 2-piece. So you could literally print that second piece for the guide post, glue it in place, and it was perfectly flat and smooth.
Oh, you did a wonderful job on that.
Yeah, I've gotten better at printing those. So you could actually just put that in place in Tinkercad and print it all together instead of making them 2 separate pieces. So, but no, it's wonderful. I'm glad to see you make it work. You know, make it do what you need to do. I can't wait to see you run them and hear how they did. And I'm gonna tease Greg just a little bit. I told you I had one more in paint.
Are you all done, Henri?
Yeah, thank you.
All right.
Just only compliments, and we're trying to get maybe a different way. I will when it's running, I will share it with you and also the files.
Show that again, Brian. Okay, so a yellow body, and did you hold up a can of blue paint? Nice.
Nice.
Well, I look forward to seeing that.
Can I ask your opinion on what you thought of the body design once you saw it printed? How did the file print for you? Did it print well?
I only have problems because I take this prusa slicer. This gap is going to be is wonderful because he filled it up with supposed, but in prusa slicer I didn't get nothing over here, so I have a little bit problem on that corner. But I print them this way.
So you're doing it filament?
Yeah.
Yeah. See, I did mine resin, so a little reinforcement in there is what you put in there.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's probably it was less than 1 extrusion in thickness. So the wall was probably less than 0.4 millimeters.
Mm-hmm.
So if
I made the body 1 millimeter thick, I believe, and then I put another 0.5 millimeter worth of rim around the bottom, about 2 millimeters high.
Okay, so as far as you know, you don't have anything less than 0.4 millimeters in thickness?
No, I don't think so.
I'll go download that and check it out and see what happens.
Is the file available for that, printing those?
Yeah, but this was in your links that you shared a few weeks ago, right, Brian?
Correct.
Yeah. So if you look back a couple episodes where Brian shows off the models and stuff, I put links in the description to go to Tinkercad and download them. You will need to create an account on tinkercad.com in order to download the file. Once you do that, they're freely downloadable. So, and actually I did download them. I just need to throw them in my slicer and see what they look like.
This one was 4 hours. This one was doing in the best way I can, so very fine. It's about 8 hours.
Yeah,
but I'm very fond of it. I think you did a great job.
Thank you. And even my own chassis are evolving. I mean, that was the original one on the hot rod.
Mm-hmm.
Again, you can see the broken piece there.
Yeah.
Here's the new one. So it has been slightly modified. Actually, I drew this one again from scratch, and I kind of cleaned up the front end. I mean, to me, could I make them lighter? Probably, but I wanted something, somewhat elegant, if you will. So
you certainly have an eye or elegance, Brian, in everything that you've produced. I've spotted that you have an eye for design in if I may compliment you that way. Everything you do it's got a certain style to it, and it's kind of Art Deco in my mind.
Yeah.
I think he's done some great stuff. Really, it's wonderful.
For someone with no real talent, I manage it.
Looks great. Then I'll be the judge of that.
Yeah, but I'm going to print them in 6 colors, and for 15, 17, 18 euros, every kid can drive. I think it's a wonderful idea.
I see an IROC set coming in my future.
And I do think they're going to be fast also.
Yep.
What are you putting in them for a motor?
At this moment, I had 18,000.
Okay. I had 25,000 RPM Predators in them. They're wicked fast. And I've also run them with 20,000 RPM. What's the other one? Not Predator, Piranha.
But without magnets?
No. No.
I only drive without magnets.
18 could be wonderful without magnets, but Greg, I this new one too. I ordered some thing, and I thought I'd try some NSR rubber tires because one, I like the price. Yep. I'm not really set up, but I don't know their tire system quite as well as I know Paul Gage. So I thought this is a Paul Gage 12 by 20 by 5. And in his numbers, it's 12 wide, 20 high with a 5 mil rib. I kind of thought I was getting the same thing in an NSR type tire, but not quite.
Well, Paul makes them big for truing purposes because he knows that they're not going to be perfectly true. So he makes them oversized so that you true them down.
The NSR is even bigger. Now,
oh, really? I got them backward.
Yeah. The gray one's the NSR.
Oh, okay.
Versus the Paul Gage.
So the NSR is sticking out more, or it's also thicker?
Oh, it's thicker.
It's thicker. Is it the Ultra Grip or the normal grip?
These are super grips, the normal ones. They seem to work okay, but I don't want to really deal with rubber tires a whole lot, I guess. I mean, I'm not set up to really true them well because I don't have a razor. So I got to true them on a
they're pretty good. I mean, if you're putting them on metal wheels to begin with, then they're going to be pretty good. They might not be perfect, but they'll be fine for magnets. And do the lighter fluid trick, and they'll be like nobody's business.
I really like that red one. He just, that you just held up there. That's just it's just a beautiful paint scheme and everything. Red and white works for me. I know blue and yellow some people are fans of, but red and white also is a good.
Yeah.
When you guys get these built, can you guys maybe keep a track of a parts list and then just kind of provide it to the rest of us? Like that way we can go, oh, okay, I know what I need to buy, except for the motor, obviously. People can do different, but
I really wouldn't know what to tell you, Jeremy, because
I think Greg's building one. I thought he said he was going to.
Well, I mean, the list's going to have an axle, a crown gear, a pinion gear, a pair of wheels, a guide.
Well, your bushings.
But I'm worried about bushings, what fits.
It's a 3/16 hole is what I designed. You might have to. You end up usually cleaning them out with a stepped drill bit, just to get any junk out of there. And I've just been using the Professor motor ones. I've also taken brass ones out of other cars, chucked them in a drill and machined off one of the flanges and stick them in there, and they work great.
You're just using a slotted guide then?
This one is a scale auto. No.
Okay, but the standard.
Yeah.
I don't know if there's a standard.
Actually, now the one I'm using now is I'm printing my own. So yeah, standard guide.
Henry, if you're talking about printing guides, with normal PLA, it will not work.
Well, I had that. I would agree with you when I first started doing them, yes. But since I'm using PLA, it's called PLA Plus here from Inland.
Yeah, over here. Same.
As long as I use like an NSR flat top screw to mount them, they seem to do well. If I use any bigger screw, I never had a problem with the blade snapping off. It was always the post that would break off for me.
Correct.
And so far, they're holding up okay.
But that's the way you print them, because the layers are on top of each other, and they will break over there.
Yeah.
Greg, what do the lines mean there in your?
Those are the layers. So if I scroll down so this is basically how it would print. It's not properly supported, so things are being printed in midair there. But this would be the first layer. This is 0.2 millimeters of plastic, of molten plastic being squirted out and stuck to the blade. Then this is another 0.2, and then so on and so forth. And it builds up layer upon layer. The body post needs to be supported so that it doesn't just appear in midair. The main reason I'm showing this is because I think this might have been what Henry was referring to. Is this the printing problem you had with your first print? This gap right here?
No, you have to go upwards.
I thought it was the front of the car. Oh, yeah.
This is the front.
There is
over there.
He's putting it on his bum, so it's up in the air, right at the front.
So if you see the blue lines in top of the car, yes, over there, and then to the right.
There's the overhang of the front guard because he's printing it on his bottom. No support for it.
You're talking about the body post or just
the whole of for the front wheel.
Oh, okay, so the very top here.
No, on the right side.
No, right at the front there.
Yes, there, over there.
It's printing it on its back, Greg. So the front of the front rear arch recess is not supported.
Well, didn't you do one? Didn't you do one flat first, Henry, or did you print them both on there?
I saw that the supports are much bigger over them. And it will take 5 hours, but that doesn't matter. I will try one.
I'm still just trying to figure out what was the failure point in your first print, and I don't. This is the only thing that I see that doesn't look like it'll.
But I don't print them that way because you have them flat now, and I print them standing up.
Okay, so let me split this up.
Greg, why did you get that slat there behind the front wheel? Because that's not part of the design. Is that showing?
I know the design is not to be an opening, and that opening is there because it's a thin a very thin wall right in that bend. So that's why I opened this up, is to see what would happen. So if we go to layers and perimeters and click detect thin walls, then it'll probably work just fine.
Looking at the body, it does tend to see that crease is.
I'm getting no layers detected. Something's messed up here. Hold on.
Loose nut behind the wheel.
Something was not flat. Yeah, it's mad about something. That's interesting.
Yeah. For me, we print them on the resin printer. I print them at about 22.5 degrees. Takes me about 3 hours to print one.
Yeah, that's one advantage of resin printers. What is it doing? Come on. Now I turned supports on. Supports? Now it's being really weird.
When you say degrees, are you talking about angle or temperature?
Yeah, angle. I have to angle it.
Okay.
I angle it. And it just, I don't have to, but with a resin printer, there's a couple things you need to keep in mind. Your cross section, because you don't want too much vacuum on the step, and your layer lines. How you orient it can drastically vary how your lines show up.
That's correct, Rick.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm just trying to figure out why it's giving me no layers detected. That usually means that there's an error somewhere in the model, but I don't know which model it's referring to. So I'm just going to delete these other ones because we don't really care about anything else. Let's see if it's one of the other models. Nope, it's that model. So we're going to run a repair. Come on. Here we go. Fix through the netfab. And let's try again.
It's interesting because in my slicer for the resin, it doesn't show any errors.
Something else is wrong. I don't know why it's. Oh, I have them on 0.1 detail. Let's try that. All right. I don't know what's going on, so I'll stop sharing, stop wasting time on that. I'll look into that more and figure out. It's probably a setting somewhere in my slicer.
Henry, you're talking about guides. This is how I actually print mine.
Yeah, I did them standing up, laying down, left to right, and they all break at the end.
Yeah, but I've had pretty good luck with these so far. I'll keep trying. If they keep breaking, I'll quit doing them. And I did quit doing them for a long time, but I keep hearing more and more people saying, "Oh, my PLA, blades last forever." Racer does that. He swears by it. He says, never had a problem with them. I found before the screws I was using, I think, was weakening that post too much because I had to open that post up way too much. But the NSR style, scale auto style, flat top, really fine thread, I don't even have to do anything to that hole. They screw right in there beautifully. And there's no, it eliminates a lot of the flopping around. So I think that might help as well. But so far, good luck.
This is your own design?
You're muted, Brian.
I got this off a Thingiverse, and I think it's
this one is the slotted.
Yeah, I believe it is.
I printed 10 times, and they always fail after a time.
I think it's that Dutch PLA.
Yeah, probably.
All right, I think we're good on that. Unless anybody has any additional questions or comments. All right, so Courtney is ready to go. What do you want to show about, Courtney?
Long-time listener, first-time sharer. So many moons ago, 1985, I went to college in Lynchburg, Virginia, and I started playing with slot cars at a commercial track. An older guy down there was getting rid of some stuff, and I bought this little 32nd scale car. Of course, I redid the body for it. That's the Parma Mac body with the Attila stickers. But a friend of mine, his Paul Wolcott, Pablo on some of the other forums, Dennis might know him, but he took a look at this chassis and was just enthralled. And he completely rebuilt the car for me. And I got to run it for the first time last night. Obviously, we tried to put a period correct motor in it, but everything we had was way too hot.
I can imagine.
So But obviously it's got lots of lead. And if you can believe, he tumbled the car, just cleaned it up. There was a couple of solder joints, but I would imagine, Dennis, I would imagine this car was built in the late 70s. And like I said, I finally got to run it last night. I just had it laying in my junk box.
Yeah, you're right about late 70s, because that front wheel design started around the mid 70s, I would think.
Yeah.
So it may be a little earlier than the late 70s. It's probably the mid 70s, because it's all still piano wire. There's no spring steel in there.
Yeah. Well, anyhow, that was all
nicely done.
I have no credit for it except that I own it. And
looks like it was modified from a 124 scale car, because it's very wide down the middle for a 32nd scale car.
Yeah, so I think you're right about that. When I got the car, it had a 32nd scale Lexan body, wing car body on it.
Mm-hmm.
It was a narrow wing car body.
Yeah.
And I wish I'd have kept the body. But anyhow, I thought it was neat.
Yeah, it's super neat.
Of course, I'm a Porsche fan, so these stickers were great. And the car looks good. It runs good. Nothing
Excellent.
plastic car wise, but
fun.
But yeah.
Lots of fun. Like it.
Any questions or comments?
Well, those little 1/2-inch front wheels that we used to use back then look kind of crazy these days.
Yeah. So I ran it on an LTD flat track, and it ran really good. I was actually kind of surprised.
Can you articulate the chassis? Show us how it moves and where it bends and things like that.
So I will do my best. You can't.
So the side pan's probably hinge. Yep.
Oh yeah.
The body's attached through those little pin tubes
in the side, through the walls of the body.
Yeah. Right, and then they move up and down. Right.
And the wheel goes with it.
And then the whole side pan assembly has a hinge up front, so it lifts at the back. Right, the front hinges either side of the guide tab, right, and then the back end of the car, the back end lifts up. That, for some strange reason, was called a plumber action. It came from the very first ones that was designed, and the guys looked at all the tubing and said, "That's a plumber's nightmare." And so that name stuck. And then on top of that, you have the hinges on the front wheels. They're hinged in the middle there, so they rotate independently, and they're hinged there. And then there are two little wire springs that spring them, because back in those days the rules were that the front wheels had to touch and roll. So in order for them to touch and roll, you needed to spring them down a little.
But as soon as they touch,
As soon as they touch, they go up until they're just running on the track, just under the pressure of that spring, and allowing all the weight that you want on the guide. And the initial thing with that on the 124 scale cars was to allow the cars to run through the glue that was put on the track.
That's right.
For traction, to allow the front wheels to bump, because the glue was so thick that they would hit it and bump the car right out of the slot.
Oh, I see.
So yeah, so it's quite the artwork. There was
it's very nicely built too.
There was a small logo on the bottom, which you can just barely see. We thought at one point it might have been an early Tony P car, which would have been kind of cool, but we can't find any reference to because it kind of looked like a skull. But anyhow,
yeah,
neat little car, fun to drive.
Lovely.
It does not work on my home track at all.
Well, you just have to take those tires off and put some urethanes on it.
Well, yeah, and a softer motor. Good Lord.
Oh, yeah. Or coat those tires in silicone.
Yeah. Like we discussed last week, machine down a set of old sponges until you could fit the rubber over the top, and lace them up with some suntan lotion and give it a try.
I might have some NSR rubber tires to put on it. I've got one or two 100 pairs.
Yeah. That's
all right. That's all I got.
Awesome. Thanks for showing that, Courtney. That was pretty cool. And I'm going to go ahead and reshare my screen because I got the slicer to stop complaining at me. When I split the combined model that was multiple pieces in one model into individual pieces, apparently there was a teeny little infinitesimal piece hovering in the air somewhere, and it kept complaining about that. So, Henry, this is how you printed it, right?
Yeah, correct.
Okay. So now, is the problem these bits right here?
Yeah.
So when they printed, they drooped?
Yeah.
And so
it doesn't give me supports.
And you can't do supports?
No.
Let me try something here. So we'll do.
But you can do it manually, but I never did that. Okay.
Okay. Yeah. So Prusa Slicer has a neat paint on supports feature.
Yeah, that's the.
And smart fill. And then if we slice it now, it should fill that up. No, it didn't. Oh, I forgot to turn this on. Okay, turn. For support for enforcers. There we go. Oh my God.
Just angle it out a little bit.
No, I know what to do. So we changed the support type to snug, which is a new feature in the later versions of Prusa Slicer. And there you go.
That's cool.
And it still added this for some reason, but
still. Henry, are you using Prusa Slicer or are you using something else?
That will work, Greg.
Yeah, Henry, you were using Prusa Slicer, right?
Yeah.
Okay, because Kira has a function called tree type supports.
Yeah, they haven't implemented tree supports in Prusa Slicer yet. People are always asking for it.
When I was printing in FDM bodies, it worked real nice. The tree function worked great.
Yeah. One of the things some people will do with Prusa Slicer is slice it in the resin printing mode by switching to the SL1. And then you can manipulate tree supports and then exporting the STL with supports as a single STL file, and then slice that in FDM mode so you get FDM printed trees. It works. It's just a little bit, extra work around, doing that. But yeah, this should work okay. And I would do the same thing for the bottom ones as well, just to. We'll go ahead and do that because we're already doing that. Yeah. So that should print okay and not have a bunch of wasteful supports.
Thank you very much.
Did you support the body posts at all, or just let them sag a little for the first few layers?
He gave me post from the bottom until the top.
Okay, so you did supports all the way?
No. But I made, if you can see, he's got, at the post, he got 2 ribs, one or 2 ribs.
Yeah.
And I made 3 of them.
Oh, okay. Here, let me spotlight you here. Stop my share.
Where are we looking, Henry?
Gosh darn it. Spotlight, there we go. Okay, so you added a supporting post so that you basically created your own support for the body posts.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, that makes sense.
Yeah.
And when I saw the body post in that position, I thought that would be the easiest thing to do is add that little 45-degree angle rib for support purposes. Good stuff. Yeah, I think I'll go ahead and try printing one of those. I'm pretty sure I've got enough spare parts of various kinds to make one car, but I'd probably have to, if I wanted to make a 4-car set, I'd have to invest.
Yeah, but be aware of a longer shaft.
Yes, yeah. I might either ask you for the link to the. Did you keep it in Tinkercad when you did the adjustments for the model?
It's in Tinkercad, yeah, but I don't know how to share it.
Okay, maybe Brian can help you with that. But yeah, so I'll either do my own mods or get a hold of your.
I will share it. There's no problem at all, but I have to learn how.
Okay.
Yeah. See, originally
you have something like a teacher program in it.
There you go. Well, if you both of you hang around after the recording is done, you can, teach each other how to do things.
Predator or Piranha will work on that stock chassis just fine. You just have to run the pinion near the end of the shaft. I did that so I didn't have to count on the shaft of the motor keeping the axle centered.
Yeah, I
In
mean,
hindsight, the best way. And actually, on my newer ones, I've moved it back so it would, but I machine that little ridge off, and I use an axle spacer to keep so I don't have to rely on it. So I mean, if you're running if you have a regular Piranha motor on there, just put the pinion on until it's the end of the shaft is flush with it, and you're fine. You don't need a long shaft. I mean, I don't know what he's calling a long shaft, but I mean a stock Predator or Piranha works.
Yeah,
but you
not
want
the super short shaft that you get on most motors, but some motors come with a slightly longer shaft. Yeah, I mean, like I said, I've got a bunch of spare parts, and I'll go ahead and print out a body and print out a chassis and see what I got that fits. And if I can't make anything fit, then I'll do the modifications.
But you don't want to only have the pinion on it, because you also want to have it in the gap.
Well, that's what he was saying. He's using spacers to hold the axle in place.
Oh, okay, I understand.
So he doesn't need that.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
All right, good stuff. So anybody else got any show and tell? Wayne, did you have something?
Yeah, sort of. Yeah. It's I'm just going to do it on my phone, which is never straightforward. So I'm going to share
5 minutes, Wayne. 5 minutes.
No, it's
much
shorter than that.
I will set the egg timer.
What I wanted to show was specifically for Henri, and it's this.
for when he does his videos.
That's correct. So
you're the idiot who said you can do it 90 degrees.
No, I'm not that idiot, but I'm the guy with the solution. And I thought to myself, actually, he has got a point. I mean, we've enjoyed your content, and we've seen quite a lot of it since I last it was in the chat. But yeah, he's got a point, and it would help if you could get yourself a little thing like that. You can stand it on the table, and then if you want to move around, you can just pick the thing up. It's so small and so light, and it would be helpful if you did your content in landscape.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So photography tips from Wayne. Segment
well, it was more of a gap than anything else, but there you
go. So 3 hands went up. Do you guys have show and tell, or are you ready to do other things? What do you got, Don?
Okay, this is my latest acquisition from eBay.
Is that
It's 124.
962.
So BRM?
No, it's spotted.
Okay, it is 132nd. Okay.
Oh.
It looked big in his hand.
I got a good deal on it because the guy thought it had the wrong wheels on the rear.
Right.
Well, it's got the wrong tires on it, but the rest of it looks good. They're very, very small, those rear tires.
But only thing I really did to it was change the guide. It had a extra long guide on it, so that wouldn't run around my hybrid track. As soon as it hit the Ninco, man, it's like hitting a brick wall.
Yeah, he had a deep guide on there.
He mentioned Ninco. Are any of you guys familiar with the Ninco R's?
The cars?
Yes. The reason I asked is why I got these other ones from, and I think it was a Cadillac LMP, but it was a Ninco R. The base was
R1.
It might be R1. The base was actually yellow.
Those are their cars that are similar to the Scalextric Indestructibles or whatever they call them. So it's a very basic car with no interior.
You're thinking of the Ninco 1s.
Oh, that's a Ninco 1. Sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think those were on a red base. I think the yellow base ones were their
Lightning.
Lightning or something like that?
Lightning, yeah.
So it has a yellow base. It's probably a Ninco Lightning, which they're supposedly race tuned. Their wheels were crazy too small. They looked ridiculously small.
But nice aluminum stuff and proper 332nd size axles everywhere instead of the 2.5 millimeter that they use on all their regular cars.
because he had a fair amount of Ninko stuff, and that was one of the ones he had. It was a beautiful looking car, and the yellow base on a Ninko, I mean, that just looks so odd to me because they're normally black, you know, or red. But it was something worth considering.
Did he have any Ninko Zlot? X lot or X slot? They're like, what was it, 128?
128 scale belt drive things, yeah.
Yeah. An experiment gone wrong.
Only ever one question to be asked about those things, and that is why.
Why? Yeah. They wanted to get the biggest car they could on their track because they couldn't fit 124ths on their track. Anywho, all right. Thanks for sharing that. And Alan, you are up next. What you got?
Well, I just installed 4 solid state drives into my PC, Greg, so I may not be able to find shit. So, if I can't, please move on, okay?
Okay, go ahead.
Well, at least you'll find it faster when you can't find it.
That's
exactly.
True. You'll be able to not find it faster.
Oh, my. There we go. Now I should be able to hit share screen.
Ooh, drag track.
Okay. Give you a little history of what's going on. I model HO 143rd, 132nd. And underneath this track right here is a routed on MDF with recessed guide or recessed braid. That was my 143rd, 132nd track. That worked great. And of course, I tried to run HO cars on it. I would put a little tube on the guide pin so that it wouldn't wiggle down the track. But the problem with that was that the damn tires were running on the braid.
Yeah.
They didn't move for you know what. So I got a little discouraged and I said, okay, I'm going to break out my HO track. And I went ahead and installed the HO track continuous rail over the existing braided track and just finished that up yesterday. And we'll go to another image here. Looks like it's not letting me do it. Maybe if I close it.
Did you make those bookmarks when you had the old drives?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's why they're not working.
That's probably why they're not working. Let's try this. No, darn it. Ah.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, there we go. There it is. There's the end of the track. I went ahead.
Why did you ramp up the shutdown?
It actually aids in the shutdown. That shutdown itself, when I run 143rd and 132nd on there, if I left it flat, I'm bouncing off that wall. Even with, I've got the 2 ways of stopping this. I can short the rails out with a toggle switch, or in the other position of the toggle switch, I can apply a reverse variable voltage. And a combination of those in that ramp up, I just feel a lot better. I have yet to have ran into the wall yet. The track is 40 feet long. And then just to show you what I can do now, I can run 143rd and 132nd on this same track just by narrowing the guide down a little bit and branching out the braids. So I kind of like repurposing things.
You're a hero.
Yeah.
And that you didn't make the slot any bigger than for HO. You just narrowed the guides down enough to fit.
All I did is narrow the guides down. I have yet to have broken one or cracked it or anything like that. And it's just moving out the braids into a little bit of a Y, not much. And I was looking at took a quick current draw reading on the braided track before I put this in. And I was concerned that I wasn't going to be able to draw the same amount of current through those thin rails. And it's identical.
Similar.
It's identical. Once I got the braids adjusted, I see no variance whatsoever in the current draw. So I'm a happy camper. Like I said, I've repurposed the track, and let me see. That's a poor photo, but you can see on this track that the distance between those two cars is about 3 inches. So I've got plenty of room to run HO, 143rd, and 132nd. That's it.
Awesome.
And we'll stop the share. There we go.
Good stuff. Any questions or comments for Alan? Hearing none, Mr. Mayor, you have the floor.
Hello, gentlemen. How are we?
Hanging in there.
A little bit of show and tell from me too. Let me flip the camera around. Hopefully that wallpaper going to stay there though. Oh. We may have to pause for a moment while I turn that off. You want to go to somebody else to go find where that is. Backgrounds, go away. None. How are we doing? Better? There we go. Right? Just a white wall. You aren't going to see much. Okay, there we go. So let me flip the camera around now. There we go. So the last time I was on the chat was 103, yes, a while ago. It was a 2-lane. And now my HO is a 4-lane. As you can see. Yeah. I added the timing bridge. We added the Vayasu software. I wish I remember who told me to look into that further, but it was awesome and super easy. Granted, I'm an IT guy, so I take a little bit of liberty in that statement, but it wasn't difficult. It really wasn't. But I thought you guys would get a kick out of this. I got to go a little at a time, so I don't want to reveal it yet. So I was just fooling around with, it just showed up. So I was fooling around with a little bit of graphics and paper and just kind of fooling around, trying to make an audience, trying to do something kind of neat. So I thought it'd be kind of cool to add a buddy of mine's business, that e-cleaning in the left corner. And I thought, well, that was kind of cool. I'll add my dad's old business, which is that. And then I thought, well, if we're going to do sponsors.
There we are. There we are.
Awesome.
That was kind of cool, right? So, yeah.
The check is in the mail.
Thank you very much. All right, cool. Yeah, so something to do. We hung up some barriers to just have something there. But I tell you, just say one thing to my girlfriend about, hey, I wonder how this would look. And she buys 3 rolls of the plastic gutter guard. I just mentioned it. She's like, oh, that sounds like a good idea. And she bought it. So I think that's going to be my new border all the way around. Just got to figure out how to attach it. I mean, the really easy way, of course, would probably be like, sheetrock screws or something. But yeah, that's my show. I went to 4 lanes.
Popsicle sticks and staples.
Yeah.
Black popsicle sticks and
staples. Sticks and staples. Yeah. But one suggestion, I made some barriers using that stuff. The idea was to make them temporary and portable, because I would set up a track on tables at my son's middle school for their carnival thing. And I took drywall corner bead, the plastic stuff that has so it can curve a little bit. So I then zip tied the exact kind of gutter guard that you have there to that, and then basically duct taped the other side of the corner bead to the tablecloth that was over the tables that I was using, and it worked really well. The problem is, and here comes my suggestion, put some tape on top, folded over the top, because it is a snag festival with the raw edges of that. Yeah. If you're wearing anything snaggable, you will snag it. So some duct tape folded over the edge, or some gaffer tape, or whatever you've got on hand that looks good and sticks well.
Yeah,
just fold it over the top.
So we used to have, I don't know if the one sponsor you might have noted was East Orange Glass. So we used to own a glass shop with a bunch of moldings, and basically we have something similar to the old door edge guard that kind of snaps on and kind of holds on.
Oh, yeah.
I wonder how well that would look going across the top. I should have enough 20, and 4 and 4. So not terribly so. Or I'm sorry, 16 and 6. Yeah, I could do that. 40 feet, I can find that. So that might work. I'll try that for next time, but thank you.
Yeah.
I want something a little bit more permanent. I mean, a corner bead seems kind of thin.
No, I'm not suggesting the corner bead for your situation. Yeah. Honestly, your table is wood all around, right?
Absolutely, rock solid.
So I would probably, like I think John was suggesting, just your regular old hardware staple gun.
Yeah, I got plenty of that too.
Along the bottom edge to hold it straight to the side of the table, and then cover that up with something if you think that looks ugly. Drape a.
I've got a question on your track.
Sure.
I have just gotten this week an HO drag strip.
Yeah.
And someone told me you need to sand the rails. This is all used stuff. Did you do that?
I do. You do have to clean the rails on it. And then there's all different schools of thought. Some of them are older. Like as kids, we were told to use a nickel. I think that's too harsh, too abrasive. I do have something, if you'll pause the disappearing screen for a second, though. Hang on.
Got some anti-oxidizing. What? I mean, it's not plated steel. It's just regular steel. So you're not going to make things worse by sanding it. It just means that you're going to have to continue sanding it. I don't do a whole lot of HO, so I'm sure Mark will have better recommendation. But
I need to get my rail heights down to match my club's track.
Yeah. So this is just for sheetrock. It's really, I don't remember the grid. I wish I did. It's not printed.
Oh yeah.
But it's a 3M product, and you don't have to push real hard. Just run it over, and you will see, like on mine. So mine's in a basement. I run double dehumidifier. It's a really big basement, so I run double dehumidifiers. And believe it or not, if I leave the track for like a week and a half or two, and I come back to it, I can actually see like little, I don't want to say black dots, but almost like you could just see it's not as shiny like it should be, And I've heard some guys treat it. I've never treated. I've been told that no, never treat it. But just just barely keeping it on there. I'm just barely just running around a circle. I'm not putting any pressure on it. I do recommend when you do that, you vacuum right after. Just be certain, or a clean, the old Terry. What is it? What's the cloth? Microfiber. Yeah. And some different cleaners too. I use the most minuscule amount of good old Sprayway glass cleaner. It's ammonia, no ammonia in it, and it cleans up everything just nice. And we ran 5 hours on Sunday when I had everybody over to play, and no issues, none.
Best glass ever.
Oh, absolutely. I used to own it, like I mentioned, I used to own a glass shop. I have cases of it still.
They use it for cleaning up like my build plates on my resin printers as a final wipe.
Yeah.
My wipe, that stuff's awesome.
Yeah.
Mark, can you show the sanding block one more time?
Of course.
It's
foam,
right?
It's got like there we go. I'm trying to get out of the thing so you can see it better.
Yeah. Okay.
It's a foam block.
It's a squishy foam.
Yeah, Home Depot in the paint department. I'm sure Lowe's has it too. It's a 3M product.
Okay, appreciate that.
Yeah, no problem.
Another thing you might consider is it's like a pinky eraser, pencil eraser, but they make them for pen, and they got a little heavier grit in them. Usually they're like half white, half blue, or something like that. You go to an art store and have them. They work pretty well too. I mean, if something's in your pocket or whatever.
For me, it made just a little bit more cleaning involved. That's why I had a vacuum first. With this, I can just kind of get away with the microfiber and a little bit of cleaner. But that's just
do both lanes at the same time.
Say again.
Will that do both lanes at the same time?
Oh well, for me it's 4 lanes, but yeah.
I was gonna say it looks like that was big enough to do all 4 lanes at once.
Oh yeah. Let me try to get the camera right. I can't see it. Sorry.
Good point. I was thinking he had a drag strip.
Me? No. I can't even get to this.
I'm the one that got the drag strip.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah, that would cover my drag strip and then some.
Yeah.
If your drag strip is plastic, then you could get the smaller foam blocks with the appropriate type of.
Yeah. And honestly, you just spinning or turning around. It doesn't really, it doesn't have to be exactly the same way because you're going to keep moving it. I don't like to go in the same direction all the time. I just kind of spin it around and move it a little, just so that it doesn't, where and that kind of thing.
They make those in a lot of grits. They make some a little bit bigger than a pack of cigarettes.
Yep.
So.
That's the kind I have.
Yeah. I'm impressed with it. But yeah, that's my show and tell. That's it.
And a good tip for John. Thank you very much for sharing that.
Anytime.
And anybody else have any show and tell before we move on?
Yeah, I got one more if you don't mind real quick.
Yeah, go ahead, Brian.
I'm gonna try and do a screen share here, so this could be a disaster. Screen. It's not wanting to take the start now. Trying to tap on start now and it doesn't want to take it.
Oh, real quick, guys. Sorry. A quick message for John Kitt. You there?
Yeah, I'm right here. Yeah, Mark. Yep.
I started putting the Miata back together.
Oh, great. Great.
Got a little extra motivation. I know last time was Worldwide Hockey Chat. I apologize for that.
Now it's Worldwide Miata Chat.
Yeah, now it's Miata Chat. So yeah, we just started back together again. I'll keep you posted.
Oh yeah, please. Yeah.
Well, cool. While Brian's looking, this is what I use to clean my HO scale track.
You're killing me. You're killing me. I've taken for one of those so bad you have no idea. I even saw a great video.
What is that?
That's an original HO Oscar Kovaleski cleaning thing, man. That's awesome.
Yeah, we called it Oscar the garbage truck because we were kids,
It's like a Zamboni for HO.
Exactly. Yeah. And that was sold through Auto World, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So what's neat about that, some of the guys also have a video out there of the Tyco dump truck, and they put a 9-volt in the bed, or the dump body, if you will, and then run the double pickup shoes on both ends, and they run it with the 9-volt, so you don't have to run your power. And that seems to work too. But I am dying to find an Oscar. I'm killing myself on that one. I want one bad.
And does it have a cleaning mechanism built into it for those that aren't familiar? Because I've never seen
one. Got a sanding block up front, right? Here, hold on. Let me spotlight that.
Okay.
So it looks like it got a heavy chassis.
Yeah, but it's also a brass chassis. Yeah.
If you look, that gray bar across the front there, that's actually a diamond embedded sanding block that's glued to the chassis.
And it's nice and heavy, so it pushes itself around.
You can put some cleaning fluid in the top, and they recommended just, vinegar and water. And then it has a little drag across the back here.
Oh, foamy.
Dust.
It is a Zamboni. What are you talking? It is. It's got a blade and a wiper at the back. It's a Zamboni.
And this one is the 1776 edition of it.
Yeah,
I've got a couple of others of the regular yellow ones, but I need guide shoes for them.
Oh, Mark, we can turn this into Let's Make a Deal if you want.
Yes, so I'm watching carefully, yes.
All right. Save that for the after show. Brian, keep working on your thing, and whenever you pop it up, we'll talk about it. Alan, what do you got?
Excuse me. I just thought I'd share with you quickly how I go ahead and clean the continuous rail on this HO drag strip. And I've used all kinds of stuff over the years, cleaning fluid, this, that. And I have resorted to 91% alcohol, isopropyl alcohol. But what I found out, I was doing that before. I would wrap a T-shirt around my finger, dip it in the alcohol, and run it down the rail. And all I found out, it was moving the crud around. So what I've done is I do the same thing, but about 3 inches behind, with my other hand, I wrap a clean T-shirt around, and then I run them down together. And so what I'm doing is, with the alcohol, I'm breaking loose all the crud and the oxidation, and I'm picking it up before it evaporates. And I've been able to go through sessions no problem at all. And I find that I don't have to clean the track near as often. For what it's worth.
Worth trying. Good stuff.
I guess the only downside is you have to wear 2 t-shirts when you do that.
I don't wear one.
He's au natural.
Ah.
His track has gone commando.
The naked slot racer, yes.
Are you still working on that, Brian? Hey, you must be muted.
No, I think he left and then wanted to rejoin. I think he wants to rejoin because I think he had to reboot or something.
Yeah, I see he's not on the list anymore. All right, well, we're waiting for Brian to return. I guess
he's back. He's back. He's
there
back.
he is. Okay, calm down. You want to try again, Brian?
I'm trying.
That's exactly what we were saying while you were away, Brian.
Meanwhile, after Brian does his final show and tell, we're going to do Club Corner. So if you have any Club Corner things that you want to talk about, go ahead and pop up your electronic hand so we make sure to get to you. And then we'll talk about Club Corner type things. Guess we're not going to be having much Club Corner because there's nobody putting up their hands. So, Jeremy, you want to talk about something happening with your group of racers?
It's not even a club. I want to get back to the really quick thing. We were just talking about the track cleaner. I found the truck video. If anyone is interested, you can go to the YouTube channel called Full Tilt Speedways, and it comes right up as a green Tyco dump truck. I'll mute it, but just to if I can get it to come up a little bit. I don't know if how that's going to show up. Oh, it went invisible. It was good for a second, and then it went no.
I wanted to show you mine. I found it. I'm going to go ahead and put the link in the description.
Oh, yeah, there you go. Beautiful.
So you guys can watch that on your own, or if you're watching this video later on, look in the description and click the link and look at the yellow garbage truck HO scale. The like you said, the name of the channel is Full Tilt Speedways, all one word. And the name of the video is HO Slot Car Custom Track Cleaner, where they used a bright green dump truck and did some custom wiring and stuff on there.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
Yeah, it looks pretty clever.
I like the 9-volt idea too. Then and then you can, if you want to leave your track, you can turn your thing down to like 12 volts or something, so it's not running full tilt. It doesn't come off. There you go.
That's happy, isn't it?
Yep, that sure is. Sure is.
This isn't the dump truck, but
but that would easily work. The 9-volt to go right in there, easy.
Yeah.
So that was manufactured like
by Tyco, U.S. Trucking one.
So the reason for the rails in both directions is the trucks could back up. It was a whole construction set. You can
okay.
Yeah, if you look, it's got 2 guide pins.
Guide pins.
Yeah. Yeah.
I remember those I remember seeing that as a kid and wanting it really badly.
Yeah.
All right.
I think it came out either a little before or a little after the TCR, the slot list from Tyco. And I think we were all set for the trucks, and then the TCR came. We were like, nah, let's go to TCR, which unfortunately either, but.
Yeah. All right. Well, we're going to do some Club Corner. Jeremy is up first. Tell us about your club activities, Jeremy. All right. We got a screen share. Looking good. Don't forget to unmute yourself.
Yeah, that would help if I unmuted myself. What an amateur. All right. So we had 6 people out for racing. We did 7 classes. I had a little bit of problem with the race coordinator. I think my database got corrupt somehow, but we managed to finish the race. That was the important thing. And let me see if I can get, this is the other picture. This is from the other side of the track, looking back towards my track. Somebody had talked about that the other day. And catering was provided by my daughter. She picked up like $10. She made hot dogs for everybody and cookies. So other than that, good day.
Cool.
Exciting.
I really like that layout. Well, that whole facility, it looks so nice. So clean and tidy, and yeah, it's great.
No, that's the garage, Dennis. I wish I had.
Compared to my garage, that's clean and tidy.
Yeah, tell me about
okay. Well, I put everything on wheels so I can just roll stuff out of the way for race days and then roll it back where I want it. That's the key.
So I saw you mentioned that you had some race management system issues, and I saw your post on Slot Forum about race coordinator bugs. But you said that basically starting fresh fixed most of the problems.
Yeah, I wiped it all out. It was really weird. When somebody would drift lap through, you'd get the noise for drift lap, and then the whole race would reset. And after like the third race, we were like, oh my God, we can't race anymore. So we were down for like 20 minutes, and then I just wiped everything and started over, and it seemed to work then. So I don't know if I got it into a pickle somehow, or I just discovered some weird bug. And then yesterday I was cleaning because my wife is my mom. I'm also my mom. My wife is having a garage sale. So I was going through some old Scale Electric stuff, and I found all my old borders, and I was like, oh my God, I've been buying borders for like the past month to get enough of them. And then I realized I got a whole box of them. So exciting news.
I guess your garage isn't so tidy.
Well, the basement is terrifying.
Okay.
Yeah, you can see behind you. Yeah.
You
All
say
right.
she was having a garage sale?
Yeah.
That's not good.
No, don't let any slot cars in.
No, I can just
That's
raise
not
it.
good.
I can just raise it up into the ceiling. Nobody will know.
Have you? I realize that your home club activities on your track are more or less just starting. Have you taken any video yet? I'd love to see some video of that.
No, but I'll get some next time.
Awesome. Looking forward to that.
Yeah.
Cool.
Good stuff, Jeremy. Thanks for sharing. And Dennis, what's up?
Well, I was kind of expecting Jim Rose to be on today and give us the lowdown on, excuse me, on the electric dream racing, but he's not here. So since we met last, we've had 2 races at Electric Dreams. The Thursday night was the night that Andrea Noviello, the son of the founder of NSR, and I suppose he's chief designer or whatever now, he was visiting, and so we had a race for NSR Formula Ones, and he arrived around, I guess, 11:30 in the morning, borrowed a car from one of our local racers who loaned him one of his NSR F1s, proceeded to strip the car down basically to pieces, rebuilt the whole thing, added in, changed a couple of parts here and there, changed the gear ratio, put in on, trued up a new set of tires, got on the track and practiced. And then when the race came Thursday evening, proceeded to set new lap record on every lane and beat us all, and then complain about having come off too often. But it was a really nice day because he's a very nice young guy. He was very free with his advice and his tips, and gave us quite a lot of background information about things. For instance, I didn't ever know that while you can oil NSR super grips and ultra grips, when you get to the extreme grips, it doesn't help to oil them because they don't accept the oil. They don't soften with the oil. That was the first thing. The second thing was that he explained to us something about the Evo tires and why the Evo tires are no damn good for most of us. They changed the formulation of them ever so slightly, and they get a better mold, or they get a more consistent tire coming out of the mold as a result of it. And apparently they work fine on Minco track, which they use in Europe, and they're absolutely hopeless on wood. So what they are doing, he said, they have plans to expand their factory, and they're going to build a wood track in the factory. And they expect to be coming out with a whole lot more wood track specific parts, designs, chassis, tires, etc. Sometime in the future. He didn't say when. So that was Thursday night. It was an interesting time because it's the first time that we've driven on the Electric Dreams track in the evening. And it had been quite a warm day, so the big sliding door was open and we had this lovely breeze coming through. But of course, it cooled the track down, and so the traction conditions were quite different in the evening to what they had been during the day. which put some guys at a disadvantage who'd been practicing all day, and meant that guys like me who only got on the track by 5:30 or 6 o'clock for a 7 o'clock race didn't really know that the track had been sticky earlier in the day. So Andrea won it quite easily. Jim had one of the worst days I've ever seen poor Jim Rose have at a slot car track. I think he hit everything except the pace car. And he struggled the whole day or the whole evening. So that was that. Then on the Saturday, immediately following that Thursday, was the regular Electric Dreams second Saturday race where they ran NSR F1s again. Noviello had left, of course, by then. Rick Jockum, who's a well-known HO racer, he won that and actually broke the total laps that Andrea had set up on the Thursday night. So he was going really, really well. Jim struggled again. I wasn't there, but I saw the results later. So, and then they ran their Revo slot class, and that seemed to have gone well too. So that's basically what's been happening in 132nd scale terms down here. There was a far out race on Saturday. No, there's a far out race coming up on Saturday at Eddie Shore's track, that Mini King, 4-lane Mini King track that he has under the patio at his house up in Silver Lake. And that's about all from Club Corner down here.
Good
Sorry,
stuff.
I don't have any photos.
Yeah.
I went looking for some, but my computer's struggling anytime I have multiple apps open. It starts to lose bandwidth, so I'm not able to do that at the moment.
Dennis, how does that track design, the King, how does it run when it's small, like Eddie's hit is? Does it translate well, or does it become something entirely new?
It's not entirely new, but Eddie's particular track, the one thing that it does that does happen there is that you have to brake for the banking. The way that it's banked and the amount of traction that the 132nd scale cars have, you can't punch through the banking like you would with foam tires on a full-size King track. Once you get used to that, then the rest of it has pretty much the same kind of flow and feel to it.
Of course, the cars are slower because they're geared lower, etc. Yeah. So the normal King track banking, you use the phrase punch, but does that mean that you go down the straight flat and just hold it all the way through the bank? Or
yeah, absolutely.
You're doing no lift at all on a normal
No lift,
King?
no, nothing at all. No, it's not with anything on foam tires on a full-size King track. That banking is not a corner. It's just a change of direction. You don't let off for it whatsoever. And the newer tracks, you'll see the way that they've been built is that the main straightaway in front of the drivers is angled. It's not horizontal, it's angled so that the transition into the banking is zero, right? It's angled at the angle of the banking.
Yeah.
So only as you come out of that banking, it twists to go the other way.
Yeah. I've never seen one. Obviously, I've seen lots of them in video and in photographs and one thing and another. And it's probably the most common wood track in the commercial.
In the commercial world, yes.
Yeah. And I've often wondered what it would be like to try and replicate it with Scalextric Sport or Classic, or because there isn't a bank turn in a Scalextric Sport, is there? I don't think.
You have to do it with Carrera.
Yeah. And then if you can punch that banking, then you've really only got like 4 turns after that. So it's not like there's any great challenge to it in terms of lots of changes of direction and things. You go punch it through the banking, and you've got a right-hander and a left-hander. a 180 degree, and then you've got a right-hander and a donut and a left-hander, and then you're back headed towards the banking. That's it.
Yeah, yeah.
Right.
So I have to interrupt. John, if you could bring up that background again, and we'll get Courtney's attention so he can actually see it.
What was he?
I missed that.
Courtney, you see, you were so intent on what you're working on, you missed what John was trying to show you.
Can't hear you, John. Looks like you're muted.
He's just working to bring up the background that he had a minute ago.
I'm trying to get a body mounted for a proxy car.
Hold on, almost there.
He needs a speech bubble.
So Wayne, I think Sky Electric does sell some. Oh, there you go.
There it is. There it is.
Is that your name?
That is a beautiful, beautiful card. Some of the best work ever done right there. Those cards are highly desired. You see children cry when they get those in a pack. I can just tell you that.
I didn't know Photoshop existed in those days.
Oh. Yeah, but you had to use an X-Acto knife. It wasn't with a mouse.
That looks good. Yeah.
Also, I have the whole set uncut.
Wow.
To hand as well.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
Well, and what was funny was I was the only privateer to get 2 cards.
Wow.
Wow.
So I love Trans Am racing. Thanks,
When
John. That was fun.
When does that date to?
That is 1992. That was a 92 year with a 93 card. Yeah.
That's awesome.
Nice.
So you used a car from the future then, Courtney?
Yeah. Thanks, John.
So what was your body mounting issue?
So I am nothing if I'm not a glutton for punishment because I do like to win. So the Capri Trans Am 2, as you're probably aware, the Trans Am 2 car, I really want to run this Capri. Now I'm allowed to run my Datsun from last year, but I can't seem to make it go like I want it to go, like it did last year. It was really good. So I've decided, and oh, by the way, the cars are due, I don't even know, the end of the month. So I've taken a Toyota
Revo
slot. I've cut down the body. I've made this little cross section here so I can dismount the body without, I've cut the front of it down. I've gone to 3/32 axles and it seems to run pretty good. I've got a little, but I'm using the old slip method. Can you see?
Yeah.
I'm using the old slip method and it really only has a spot for one body mount. So, I'm nothing if a scofflaw for the rules. I love rules. Rules are beautiful.
Rules are
because I can usually find a way around something.
They're made to be broken.
So the body does have to screw on and off. However, in this situation, it may have a little bit of E6000 holding it on because I've got no way to support the back short of just a regular tube. And I have to get it painted and tested and shipped, and I'm leaving for Florida Friday. But I love you guys, so I'm spending time here.
Okay. Missed flight.
What's the slip method for those that don't know, Courtney?
So you just take 2 pieces of
styrene tube.
2 pieces of plastic. So you just cut them roughly to length, and then I'll screw this one to the chassis, and then I'll cut a length and put it to the body, and then I'll let it set up. Then once I do it, then I'll tack it together there, and it's done.
Yeah.
I don't know. Somebody smarter than me figured it out. And that's why I'm on these chats. You already know that. I'm here to gain knowledge and to use that against my foes.
Oh.
And I'm not in that proxy.
On that note, I'm out.
No, Dennis is. Listen, Dennis, you guys don't. I know you guys probably don't follow proxy racing, but Dennis is the dude, and his 8-scale cars. I saw you just won a B main at Bonaparte, didn't you? Or an A main? No, at Piranha.
Oh yeah, that's 1/24 scale stuff. That's nothing. That's just pressed steel cars. I mean, that's just preparation and driving. I mean, it's not building.
Listen, it still counts. But listen, his 8-scale cars were awesome. I've got to play with a couple of his built little 32nd scale cars. His front wheels are awesome. I use his guide flag on my 24 scale cars because they're awesome. So, and
that's actually reminded me of something. I want to know where he gets his little tungsten slugs, because I've been on eBay looking for tungsten, and all I can find is welding rods.
He get old light bulbs.
Very old.
Actually, there is a company in the south of Utah who provide parts and accessories for Pine Car Derby cars. And one of the things that they do with Pine Car Derby cars, of course, is that they weight them up. Yeah. And so they have all kinds of tungsten weights. And one of the kinds of tungsten weights they sell in a little 1-ounce packet. They sell these offcuts. And they're obviously something that has come somewhere along the line from some other manufacturing process, because there are stacks of these little discs. They vary in diameter and in thickness a little bit. And in every 1-ounce packet that you buy, there are misforms and chips and pieces that you can't use. But I go through them. I buy it I was when I was still doing those guides. I would buy like a pound at a time. So I'm buying 16 packets of these things and then sitting and sorting them by diameter. And there were two common diameters, 3.5 millimeter and 4 millimeter. There are others in between, but not in large quantities. Those two sizes were in large quantities. So that would be the first thing I do. Sort out all the 3.5, sort out all the 4s. Then I go through each one of those sizes and sort them out for thickness.
Yeah.
Because they vary from like 0.4 millimeters to 1.1 or 1.2 millimeters. So I grade those. And then once I've got them graded and they're all in little boxes, then I would start filling in the guide. So I would machine a slot in the guide that was the right height for the diameter of the right height and length for the diameter of the pellets that I'm using. And then I have a little jig and I put the guide down flat in the jig with the blade flat. And then I press the pellets in, usually 2 layers, because if the guide is about 1.8 millimeters or so thick. So I want about 1.6 millimeter total width of pellet in there so that I have space to cover them. And then I would put it in the little jig and put in the 5, 10, or the 8 pellets, depending. It was 5 of the 3.5s in a row with another 5 on top, or 4 of the 4 millimeter with another 4 on top. You press them in, and then you cover it with then I would dribble in some of that ultraviolet curing resin, both sides, cure that up with UV, sand it flat or file it flat on both sides, and then I actually cover that. I strap the flag of the guide with an 8 millimeter wide Kapton tape, and Kapton is one of those fancy plastics that they use for, it's very heat resistant. You use it for solder masking and things like that on PC boards. And it sticks well, and it's very strong.
Electronics. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a kind of goldy brown color.
Yeah.
And so then I would strap that around and and rub it down, and that's what the guide did. And so you get about 1.4 or 1.5 grams of weight below the level of the track at the front of the car.
Mm.
When do you sleep, Dennis? My
Afterwards.
God, that's a lot of work.
Oh yeah,
Lots of naps.
I've actually stopped doing them right now, because what was happening was the distributors were starting to get onto this whole deal, and they would send me 300 guides at a time.
To do.
I would do them, but the arthritis in my fingers is getting to the point where that amount of effort is just not worth the pain.
And the technical benefit.
Oh, you
technical
get the
benefit
CG
is
below the CG is below the track, and it's on the
as
nose
low
of the
as
car.
CG at the front of the car. What you feel on the car is that it goes into a turn deeper with more confidence.
Yeah, there's especially on a king track with a lightweight chassis, they're incredible. And then on the Can-Am cars, that's where my other one is. It's on a Can-Am car, and it's phenomenal.
Yeah, I find it works even better on the flat tracks than it does on the king track.
So we have a LTD flat track on the Can-Am car, and I TQ'd with your guide flag on that.
Thank you.
So the car that keeps popping up in my screen, the white, pink, yellow, is that your race car then, Courtney? Is that
Yeah.
Was John popping that up? Was he?
Yeah. So that was my '92 car. That was a Rocket Sports chassis that started as an Oldsmobile, and I wadded it up. There was a point in time when you could take the air cleaner off from the cockpit. So we redid that car and made it a Camaro, and that was a Rocket Sports. And then this is what I held up. This was my '93 car was a Riley chassis. And again, another Camaro.
I've seen before.
Yeah. So yeah.
I'm familiar with Baja Boats, of course, but what's Molly Black? What is that?
Molly Black Gold was another. It was a multi-level marketing deal that sponsored me for about 3 races, and then they ran out of cash, and their name came off the car.
Okay.
Just like real racing, as soon as I quit getting cash from Worldwide Chat, I'm taking the name off the car.
The check is in the mail.
That's why the Capri is plain white.
Just do me a favor and don't deposit it right away, okay?
I keep watching all the ads to try and get that fund build up.
Me too. I like the ad roll.
There's going to be a contest soon.
Wink, wink, nudge, nudge. I think I know who's going to win.
All right. Well, the floor is open.
If anybody wants to see what those guides look like.
Sure.
Yeah.
So that's a commercial guide, right? And then it has those 5. Has this long slot in it with the 5 or 10 little pellets in it, covered over with
UV.
The UV resin. And
if anyone's ever explained to me why the commercial guides have their post at the back, whereas all the 32 scale guides have post at the front.
I would think that the reason for that is that the 32 scale guides moved their posts to the back to the front because they couldn't fit a guide that had a post at the back. The 124 scale
guide goes under
always
the
had
axle
long
there.
noses.
Well, it would, wouldn't it? Being so small, the guide would the screw would be right there interfering with the axle, and it wouldn't be easy to do. But I don't know why there's any technical reason that one would be any better than the other, unless anyone else knows different.
No, there's no real technical reason. The biggest thing that you want to know is the distance from the guide pivot to the rear axle. And so with a front pivot, you get a longer distance without it sticking out the front of the car. On a 124 scale car, you don't have that problem because you've got a lot of nose to play with.
So is it because the clip-in style braid that you use on those guides, is that the reason why they have never translated to becoming a pivot at the front?
Yeah, because if you try to pivot it at the front, it makes for a very difficult
Braiding
design.
style.
To have those kind of pushing guides. I'm looking for one. I've got some here. There was a Japanese company that made them at one stage called Sekatsu. And they made a guide that looked like this with its pivot right at the front.
Mm-hmm.
And the problem there is now you've got a plate over the top of that, right? And you've got the wires going in, well, the braids going in at the front, and where do the wires go? The wires have got to go in the front, and then as soon as it starts turning, it starts to interfere with things. It's not a very easy,
effective
way of doing things. I've got a couple of cars that I put those on, 132nd scale cars, but I wouldn't ever run it.
So the main reason is that, for the most part, there's not enough room for a 132nd scale car to have the guide as far forward as possible, but also not sticking out from under the front of the body.
Yeah.
Are there any 132nd manufacturers that do a rear pivot guide? I can't think of any.
Well, that slotted one that's kind of an LMP thing is kind of in the middle.
Yeah.
But that's
about the closest, but even that's still a trailer or a center pivot.
Yeah.
No, there's not a lot, no, that I can think of. But obviously the old Palmer Womp cars and things like that are nominally 32nd scale, they had the 3/16 post regular one commercial guide in them.
Yeah, and those tend to be, I mean, those are still going to be Lexan bodies, so that
usually, yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, so when it comes down to it, it's like Dennis said, it's all about getting the largest, longest triangle between the rear wheels and the guide.
Yeah.
And the 32nd scale manufacturers who know what they're doing already try to get the largest, longest triangle that they can't fit under the body.
Yeah, we won't talk about Carrera F1s right now.
I won't talk about all kinds of cars. There's a hullabaloo about Scalextric decisions on the latest Mustang with the sideways.
Oh God, let's not even get into that either.
Yeah, we don't have enough time for that discussion.
Do you guys know what this is? It's about 2 hours away from me, but it says Haas built 8-lane track.
Oh, that's a hill climb.
No, that's a Kingelman.
Paperclip.
What is it?
It's called a Kingelman because it's a combination of a King and an Engelman.
Okay.
Oh yeah.
That's the name that was made. And Hassan Nilsson is a Swedish track builder. I don't know whether he still builds tracks. He built them in the 1980s. Very, very good builder at the time. Those things are built like a brick outhouse. You know, they are very, very solid. So that's actually quite a fun track to drive because you've got a big bank that you can punch. The corner after the banking, which is always called the dead man, that one looks like it's got a little bit of inclination on it, so it should be quite fast. And then the finger down in the inside there is quite tight. But then the donut and the transition from the donut across the bridge and into the lead-on turn, that's where most of the time on a Kingelman is made up. But yeah,
that's a good
like
track.
A nice one.
Well, if you're near Iowa, feel free to grab it. I can't talk anybody in my club to picking it up and putting it in their garage.
I mean, 1,500 isn't. I'm sure there's going to be a whole lot of work in putting it back together, but
oh, I'm sure it's.
You got the space
but I mean, it
for
looks
it.
like it's in. If you got a trailer, you can have it.
Yeah. Wow. Looks nice.
Wow.
Most of those trucks have lasted what, 70 years now?
No.
Made in the 60s.
He said
30. If you can get a 30-year track, 30 years out of a track is good.
I thought those Americans were made in the 60s.
A lot of the American model car racing circuits, yes, they were made in the 60s.
But they've all been redecked.
To late 60s, and most of those have been resurfaced. The ones that are still in use now,
yeah,
have all been refurbished and resurfaced over the years.
Yeah, got you.
The problem was too with a lot of those commercial tracks, as the cars have gotten faster and faster and faster, is they wear the slots out. The slots get wider and wider and wider in the turns because of the cars hammering through the turns.
Yeah.
And so, you know, the early ones that were not made with MDF, but were made with plywood or something else, they lasted a bit better. But if it was particle board or if it's MDF, they wear. And yeah, I mean, we had a problem at Buena Park at one stage, the old Ogilvy King track that was there. Some of the lanes, you know, they were routed, the slot was routed with a 1/8 inch router bit to start with, but some of those slots were nearly 3/16 wide by the time we were done. And it's all to the outside of the turn because the guys would come hammering through the banking and then hammer into that first turn. And with a wing car that's so stuck down with the aerodynamics that, you know, all of the force that goes through it would just wear away the wood after a while.
Not to mention the extra tungsten in the guides.
Well, don't forget that it's got a piece of it's got a Kapton tape over the top, so it's really very slippery. I claim that the tungsten, that the Kapton tape, you know, gives you at least another 1,000th of a second elapse.
That's it then. I'll get the Kapton tape around a standard guide and start the testing.
Yeah, do that. Just purely the thickness will help. Yeah. It's one of those things. If one wrapping of Kapton tape is good, then 2 wrappings is better.
It's tricky to work with though, because it's basically cellophane thickness.
Yeah, it's very thin.
Super thin. Yeah.
But it's strong, so you know. And it does wear out after a while, and you have to replace it. But that just means that the tape's wearing, not the guide wearing. So that also helps.
That's what I used to use for the surface on my 3D printer when I first started printing. We had to use Kapton tape.
Mm-hmm.
It was so expensive back then, so it must be cheap, I'd assume.
Yeah, I get it on Amazon. It's not expensive now. And it comes in an 8mm width, which is perfect for those commercial guides because that's exactly the right depth.
All right.
Well, how about those Mustangs, huh?
Yeah.
That's the greatest topic I've seen in the past year.
Oh man! And now there's the multiple topics. There's the one about the Thunder slot and how ridiculously slammed and out of proportion it is.
Yeah, well, that car looks horrible.
That doesn't even look like a Mustang. That looks like somebody took pieces of parts and put it together.
As 2 of the many people who know and appreciate what a real Mustang looks like, I've never owned a Mustang. I've never watched them race. I think the Thunder slot ones look badass because they're just like the streamlined, super fastified versions of the cars to me.
Yeah.
It looks like somebody sent it over to like West Coast Choppers or something. They're like, "Hey, we're gonna pimp your ride."
Exactly. That's what they look like.
It looks like a Courtney Trans Am version.
Oh, hardly.
No,
those are much higher.
They haven't put racing liveries on, have they? They've put road car liveries on what looks like a standard car.
The model is actually a GT500, not a GT350, although it says GT350 on it. It's actually a 1967 GT500. You can tell the difference by where the hood scoops are. Primarily.
Did they make a notchback GT500?
No.
Oh, no, that's the Thunder slot. That's right, the Thunder slot.
Anybody got a pick of this or not? Curious.
Yeah.
I couldn't believe last week's chat, the way that the Thunder slot chassis was on display, and it garnered very, very little response.
It's a nice looking chassis that's under that car.
I think that's
Oh, yeah.
that's the main reason. A lot of the anti-slammed Mustang guys are going to buy it is just because of the chassis. What else can I put this under?
And because it's the first of the car from Thunderstruck.
Yeah. I mean, a lot of people, everyone that has, everywhere I've seen any comment about the way that they ran at the UK Slot Festival was positive. But why put that chassis underneath a long American car rather than something that's more modern and raceable? If that's going to be a racing style chassis,
listen,
Dude,
I'm going to try to fit
more
it
Trans Am stuff.
I'm going to try and fit it under a GT3 car for sure.
Well, you're not the only one. The chassis, it's like worth buying to throw the body away in a way, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's interesting enough.
Oh yeah, Pioneer did a good job. Yeah.
I wonder what the licensing is from cars in that era. Is it cheap to get? Does anybody know?
I'm sure they're not paying licensing. Come on now.
On a thing like that, they shouldn't be. Or if they are, they should they should be giving money back to Ford Motor Company.
Ouch.
Yeah, I kind of, I am not a copyright attorney, but I sincerely doubt that Thunderslot is paying any kind of licensing,
especially from Italy. Yeah. There's no way.
No, they're like stupid Americans.
They would probably argue that since Carroll Shelby is gone now, and he's the one that invented that made the car, they don't know anything.
Yeah,
that's right.
Yeah.
And they made enough.
I thought his estate was pretty litigious, so I don't know how that's going to work. But maybe they don't. If it flies under the radar, who cares? I guess. But it seems like you'd have to get permission from the current owner of the. Well, if they do a livery, they're going to have to get permission somewhere.
Have to or should?
I think they. Well, I think they're supposed to. Yeah.
Some companies are better to ask forgiveness than permission, kind of things.
Yeah, I think that might be a reason for the body shell being so far wrong too, because it's not a replica of the car that should be licensed. It's something else that just resembles.
A representation. It's a representation.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did that car race in anything? Do you guys? Was it?
Apparently,
it did, but very limited.
Like
just like weird series. The 500 didn't really race, did it?
I don't think so.
No,
not in Trans Am.
They were big block cars, and they just weren't very competitive. I don't think handling. It'd be really hard to make them handle.
Is that the car on Dennis's screen?
No, the car on Dennis's screen is the Pioneer. While somebody was looking at Pioneer Mustangs, I thought I'd bring this one out, which is another one that I've just finished. There was a white kit, and I did it up in the Lucky Strike colors that were used by a racer in South Africa to win, I think, 2 modified sedan championships over 2 years, 67 and 68, or 66 and 67. I don't remember now.
Yeah.
So it was just a plain white car that I made up all the decals for.
Good job.
That's nice, Dennis. Looks good.
Yep. Dennis, how are you printing your decals?
I use all kinds of graphics. Well, usually PowerPoint, or I'm snipping and catching decals there, or using Word to do things that are to do the artwork, and then printing it on either white back or clear decal paper that I get from a company called Papillo in Texas, and then I print it on my Canon inkjet printer, let it dry, give it a coat of clear fixative that comes from the same company, and they work pretty well.
And do you lacquer the body
print out the
decals or after?
Again?
You don't lacquer the body shells, do you?
This one got a coat of future floor wax, the clear acrylic floor wax.
Dennis, what would it take for you? I need somebody to do the decals for my Baja Boats car.
I get some good pictures of it.
Yeah, send them all the graphics.
Do you have good pictures?
We'll let you guys talk about that after I hit the stop button, which I'm about to do. Here we go. Clicking the stop button. Everybody wave bye.